one more thing from Vithokas. Vithokas gives us a very good understanding of these remedies, the mental picture. Now you got the physical generals. Mental picture you can see in George Vithokas. These are my notes. First is deep-seated insecurity with dependency on others for support. Deep-seated insecurity. Many of these restlessness and anxieties of Arsenicum can be attributed to a deep-seated insecurity and dependence on others. See, they don't have the strength to move. Somebody else must move them from one place to the other. So they are always dependent on others for support. Selfish, possessive, greedy, miserly. These are the things that others would tell you about the Arsenicum patient. He's a very stingy guy. Doesn't share anything. Very selfish. Very possessive. Wants his children, brother, mother, father, sister, everybody nearby. He'll not share anything with them. Compulsive collector. Will collect many things, like, the antiques. Some people collect coins, some people collect stamps. Some people even have the habit of collecting clothes, collecting, like antique pieces. And they have a lot of attachment to these collections. So it's not just collecting things, it is a deep-seated need of many things. Some people collect books. So I know a person who is typical Arsenicum album, and he collects Bibles. He has a room dedicated for Bibles. And he also collects utensils that people used many years ago. And I know this is Arsenicum, and he used to have burning urinary tract infections, and Arsenicum was prescribed with success. So the thing is, there are many compulsive collectors around us. They may be collecting different things. Some people collect paintings. Some people collect matchboxes, the sticker on the matchboxes. There are very strange collections. Compulsively fastidious, and there are people who are compulsively fastidious. They want everything tidy. They want everything perfect. They want everything to be the way it was. So if there is a picture on the wall, if it is not straight, they would come and make it straight, because this creates some kind of a chaotic feeling to them. I mean, they get disturbed when they see this particular picture not placed in an orderly way. They want to create order everywhere. They want everything to be under their control. That is the main thing. They are deeply insecure. They are control freaks. They want everything to be under their control. They seek to control everything. Their children, their money, their time, So they try to remove their inner insecurity by external orderliness. Anxious about health, fear of death, aggravated in the morning, midnight, and they have a constant need for company at night. At midnight, they would wake up their spouses and tell them to be with them. This kind of anxieties people have. Physically, they are chilly patients. They cannot tolerate cold. So you won't find an arsenic album patient in an AC room. They're aggravated by cold air. Aggravated between 1 and 2 a.m. or 1 and 2 p.m. Burning pains, periodicity. Every attack is periodic. Like asthma, if such people, they have asthma, then it would come at a certain interval of time, or it would happen at a particular, they know that it is a periodic thing. If they get fevers, it also has some periodicity. Arsenicum is a classic remedy known in its basic outlines to all homeopaths. Originally proven by Hahnemann himself, Ours has been exhaustively described in every Materia Medica since. The classic description in Kent's Materia Medica covers all the essentials in both acute and chronic states. Anxiety, restlessness, aggravated by cold, worse 1 to 2 p.m. and 1 to 2 a.m., thirsty for sips, periodicity, alternations of symptoms, ulcerations, and burning pains. A mere cataloguing of symptoms can be misleading in actual prescribing. However, unless the image is rounded out by an understanding of the essential dynamic process in stages of development of the remedy, particularly in comparison with other similar remedies. The essential process underlying the arsenicum pathology is a deep-seated insecurity. They are deep-seated insecurity, like phosphorus he describes as diffusion. He describes arsenicum as insecurity. So phosphorus doesn't really have any insecurity. They may have some anxiety, and it is allayed if somebody would come and comfort them, counsel them, say everything will be all right, give them a pat on the back, they'll be fine. They will again want to do the same thing, which is to impress others. That's what phosphorus is all about. But arsenicum is not like that. Arsenicum is like, they feel insecure from within, and so they collect things around them, people around them, depend on things and people and money to find some security. So you would find many arsenicum people, they are afraid of being poor. They have financial insecurity. Even they may be rich, they may have lots and lots of money, but they still would have this financial insecurity at the back of their mind all the time. And I know such people. From this insecurity springs most of the key manifestations known in arsenicum. This insecurity is not a mere social dynamic, but more essentially a sense of being vulnerable and defenseless in a seemingly hostile universe. This insecurity dominates the arsenicum personality even from the earliest stages. Arising from the insecurity is the arsenicum dependency on other people. Of course, arsenicum is a prominent remedy listed under the rubric desires company. In reality, the arsenicum patient has more than a mere desire for company. It is an actual need for someone to be present near him. Arsenicum surrounds himself with people because of his insecure sense concerning his health, his unaccountable fear of being alone. The need for company is not necessarily a need for interaction with people, such as in phosphorus. In phosphorus, they just want to talk, they just want to interact because they are extroverts and they find strength when they do so. Arsenicum is not like that. Arsenicum needs people nearby because they are afraid, they are fearful, and they are insecure for the reassurance and support than anything else. The arsenicum person is very possessive about objects, of money, and especially of people. And the opposite is phosphorus. Phosphorus is not at all possessive. They just give things away. They are not so attached to things and people. The arsenicum person does not easily share a relationship with a give and take dynamic. He is much more selfish, a taker. In a relationship, he will give support to another person, but primarily with the expectation of receiving support in return. It is in this sense that arsenicum is a selfish remedy. Automatically, he perceives events in the world from a purely personal standpoint. If something happens to someone else, the arsenicum person will think first of what it means to him. For example, if a car accident occurs, this is very useful, even if you want to ask a question related to this during your patient consultation, it could be helpful. How would you respond? Suppose a car accident occurs and you are there. Would you go down there and help these people? Or would you think about, well, it didn't happen to me, thank you, Jesus, or thank God? Or would you want to help, but you do not have the courage or the resources, so you would just watch from a distance, thinking or just genuinely empathizing with these people? So all these three are three different remedies in homeopathy. If a car accident occurs, the phosphorus patient's heart will automatically go out to the victim, putting himself in the place of the victim. It's empathy. Genuine empathy is phosphorus. The arsenicum patient will instantly think to himself, oh, if that can happen to him, it could happen to me. He may not think at all of the other person, but only of the implications to himself. What if this happens to me? How would I respond? The possessive quality of arsenicum extends to physical possessions as well as people. See, you may find these kind of possessive people who are aggravated by heat, and sulfur will be the remedy. And to people who are very interested in knowing about my remedy, sulfur has worked for me very well. So I wouldn't deny that I have this kind of a possessive, selfish nature. Of course, everybody has their own nature, right? The possessive quality of arsenicum extends to physical possessions as well as people. He is miserly, avaricious. He is conscious of saving money and things, always calculating what the returns to him will be. It can occur that he may be generous with his money or possessions. Sometimes these people would act generously if they are in a church setting just to impress other people. But he is still giving with the expectation of receiving in return. He will be upset if the returns do not come back to him. The same possessiveness leads to a compulsive collecting nature. If there is anything that he believes might be of some value, even some insignificant little item, he will carefully store it somewhere where he will be able to find it easily later. Next, we come to the well-known arsenicum trait of fastidiousness. Here, it is important first to reiterate that in homeopathy, we do not prescribe on the basis of beneficial traits, but only on pathological qualities. Thus, if someone is neat and orderly as a manifestation of an orderly approach to life, this would be a limitation in constructing the image of the remedy for that person. The same could be said about the perfectionistic quality which derives in the same manner as the fastidiousness. On the other hand, we see people compulsively fastidious. This is different. Compulsively fastidious, obsessed by the need for order and cleanliness to the point of expending inordinate energy, constantly cleaning and straightening. So this I have found in that particular person who has this collecting mentality. I do not know about how possessive he is or how greedy he is, because I don't want to comment on such things about people, but I certainly do know he values money a lot and he's a wealthy person. And they do have a need for order and cleanliness to the point of expending inordinate energy, constantly cleaning and straightening. Constantly cleaning. This is the arsenicum fastidiousness. It is an obsessive attempt to assuage the anxious insecurity felt inside by creating order and cleanliness in the external world. The fastidiousness in arsenicum arises out of anxiety and insecurity, whereas in Nux vomica also has this compulsive fastidiousness. It arises from an excessive compulsion for work. You just want to work. Was workaholic. Just want to work. Just don't want to sit idle. For overly conscientious attention to details and to exaggerated sense of the need for efficiency. They just want to be efficient all the time. And so, because of the excessive compulsion to work, they would be fastidious. They would want everything to be clean, neat, and order, and tidy. The Natremure fastidiousness is similar to this, but is more concerned with scheduling of time. Natremure is very punctual. Not like me, certainly. I'm not so punctual. Though, of course, Natremure has worked for me. In studying remedies, it is crucially important to have an appreciation for the stages of development of the pathology. Otherwise, if we see a patient at a given stage, we may miss the remedy simply because we are looking for symptoms that are characteristically found at a different stage. Also, an understanding of the stages of the remedy enables us to more readily discern the essence of the remedy and to differentiate it from other similar remedies. In the early stages of arsenicum, we see a relative preponderance of physical level symptoms with less emphasis on the mental disturbances, particular physical complaints, burning pains, chilliness and aggravation from cold, frequent colds, periodicity, thirst for sips, and time aggravations of 1 to 2 p.m. or 1 to 2 a.m. may be the primary symptoms to work with. Upon inquiry, one will probably see the fastidiousness, miserliness, and a certain degree of insecurity also. At this stage, particularly if the complaints are more functional, not involving much physical decay, it may be difficult to separate arsenicum from Nux vomica. One must then search carefully for the psychological tendencies. Arsenicum will tend to be more insecure, needing the support of people, whereas Nux vomica will be more self-reliant and impulsive. That is a key difference between arsenicum and Nux vomica. Nux vomica would be self-reliant and impulsive. Arsenicum would need a lot of support from people. As the illness penetrates deeper, the Arsenicum patient will manifest more anxiety, particularly anxiety about health, for he is afraid that he will die. At first, this anxiety may be most noticeable upon awakening in the morning, but it gradually occupies his attention throughout the day and night. It is also at this stage that the fear of being alone becomes a prominent factor. He will have a constant need for company, particularly at night.